Alright everyone, your favorite Cold Warrior warmonger, Hillary Rod-fucked Clinton, has decided to come out of her scum hole long enough to encourage us to get involved in a war in Syria. She doesn't, much like many of these other people, appear to understand several fundamental things, and Rand, by the way, once again, sane man in the room, is the only one suggesting that, oh, we should have an actual declaration of war from the legislature before we go to war. He's the only one that appears to care about that. See, the problem is the legislature can't be bothered. They've absconded their responsibility. They've devolved into a bunch of drunken frat boys and sorority members. All they want to do is drink and fuck and snort cocaine in the legislature today. Every single one of these losers should be cast aside, other than Rand, Amash, and very, very small number of others. You get people that are former legislators that make more sense than the ones that actually got elected the last time around. John McCain's so old he can't even wipe his own ass. He can't even prepare his own coke lines anymore. He has to have Tillerson do it for him or something like that. I'm getting pissed off too because like people like Tillerson and Mattis are bandying around this warmongering rhetoric too. Now, on the one hand, yeah, it's terrible when people get nerve gassed. On the other hand, I've still seen no proof it was Assad. Now, 3 years ago, we were told Assad had gassed people. And Obama came out and said, oh, well, we need to conduct strikes. In fact, he was suggesting basically what like Tillerson is suggesting right now, and Hillary Clinton too. They don't even seem to be smart enough to realize that bombing airfields is an act of war. They think that Assad is just going to roll over, do nothing. The Russians are just going to do nothing. They're going to sit there and have bombs dropping around them, and they're not going to react. Oh, don't worry about that. They'll be too scared to react. Are you fucking crazy? Is Hillary Clinton literally, has her mind completely gone? That's your answer? That's your foreign policy? It makes me glad I voted against Hillary Clinton. Yeah, if I had wanted a war, I would have voted for her. She was already talking about how it'd be great fun to bomb the Iranians. She said that in 2008. She was always a warmonger on Syria. She wanted to do more than Obama was willing to do in Libya. And when you look around at these regions, the flow of weapons is so continuous, and everything is so sporadic and so chaotic and insane, it's not possible to tell that Assad did anything wrong. He may have not been involved with the deployment of nerve gas. It could have very well been ISIS, the FSA, or any other random group. It could have been a CIA false flag. Could have been a Russian false flag. Has anybody considered the vague possibility? We're so worried about the fact that the Russians, oh, they hacked our election, they control our government, everything is Russia, all the way down. If they're so all-encompassing, you think that it's impossible for them to smuggle in a couple canisters of nerve gas, deploy them, make it look like Assad did to drag us into another war so we ruin our economy faster? Have you even thought about that vague possibility? I'm betting not. Because all the contractors and neocons and neolibs, all the war pigs like Hillary Clinton, and all of her ilk, her contemporaries, they all love war. She thinks it's funny when children die. She thinks about Libya. She was cracking up laughing when she thought about Gaddafi getting killed. And all the hundreds of thousands of people suffering there now in the wake of ISIS basically taking over half the country, at least half of the productive part of the country. Guess what? It was our foreign policy that caused that. You'd be damn glad, by the way, that Egypt installed a military dictatorship rather than dealing with the Muslim Brotherhood, or ISIS would be marching through the streets of Cairo and Alexandria right now. Of course they would. And there'd be nothing you can fucking do about it. They'd be controlling the military of Egypt. Do you realize how many tanks they've got? How much firepower the Egyptian military has? You'd better be lucky that they've just got a bunch of US surplus and part of, like, you know, the trained Iraqis and Afghanis and stuff. You'd better be glad that that's the extent of ISIS. They've already proliferated across half a dozen of these nations because of our inept foreign policy. We go in, bomb everything to shit, and look, there's a similarity every single time. What do these things have in common? I wonder. What do the following states have in common? Iraq, Syria, Libya, and Egypt. What do all four of those have that very few Middle Eastern states actually have? Oh, military ruled by secularists. Oh, that's right. Libya, Gaddafi, secular dictator. Didn't give two shits about groups like Al-Qaeda, actively suppressed them. Bashar al-Assad, his main enemy is ISIS, that and the FSA, which are all Sharia nuts. They're all Islamo-fascists. The only difference is the FSA wants a sovereign Syria under the control of Islamofascism. ISIS wants a caliphate under the control of Islamofascism. They want to erase those borders. Iraq, what was Saddam Hussein? He was a secular dictator. He used to have Al-Qaeda members strung up and beaten, have them beheaded and stuff. He didn't want to deal with that shit. Egypt. Muslim Brotherhood tries to take over. Who stops them and then installs their own sort of dictatorship like? Oh, it was the military, along with some of the military brass, you know, the troops, the brass, and oh, they're secularists. They were tired of dealing with the Muslim Brotherhood trying to craft a constitution that was Islamo-fascism light. Oh, I wonder why. Now, Obama sits back and loves to destabilize his countries. Bush comes in, destabilizes Iraq. Hillary Clinton was glowingly in praise of it. She was one of the most foremost proponents of invading the nation of Iraq. Look at what happened before you take her advice on Syria. Obama gets elected. So now Iraq is in flames. Afghanistan's been destabilized. It's sort of a side issue. It has more to do with opium than the oil wars or trade or anything like that. Obama comes in. And in partnership with Clinton, of course, he fucks up Syria. He re-fucks up Iraq. He tries to fuck up Egypt, and then they totally screw over Libya. Now Trump is in charge, and all the holdovers from the W and Obama era appear to be pushing him closer and closer to a war in Syria. What's the problem here? As Clinton suggested, as she thought through this, that there are currently Russian troops in Syria that might, you know, take fire if we start conducting airstrikes. Doesn't matter if we just target, the airfields. What? You think the Russians can't move a few men into those airfields to be sitting ducks so that they can say, oh, well, you killed our troops? This is going to be a little bit of a problem right now. Hillary Clinton, if she were president, would already have us in World War III. I'm very glad that I voted against her. Trump needs to come out, and he needs to come out damn soon, and stop this stupidity. Because otherwise we're probably on the brink of World War III. There are Russian soldiers in Syria. It's not Saddam's Iraq. It's not Gaddafi's Libya with a no-fly zone and a semi-organic movement and uprising of Islamo-fascists. It's not a Muslim Brotherhood election-related takeover of Egypt. It's none of these situations. This is a zone where we dragged our feet. The Russians got involved because they knew what we were going to do. They've already dispatched their anti-air, anti-ship systems to Syria. Assad already has them. And if he is truly deploying chemical weapons against civilians, unarmed individuals, just to purge them, what do you think he's going to do when we start flying sorties over his country? It's a nightmare scenario. The idea of getting involved in a place like Syria when it's already festered for so long, and it's so chaotic, and there's so little guarantee of us not entering a larger regional war. What if we end up attacking Iranian troops? Iran's not going to like that. I think they're probably going to defend the one other Shia nation in the region they can actually kind of count on. Yeah, they'll defend the Syrians, and the Russians will be on board with that. You think Russia's going to sit back, watch Syria get fucked while Iran also gets fucked at the same time? No, if you tried to fuck one of them over at once, you might be able to get away with it if you were really sly. But we weren't sly under Obama. This is a disaster waiting to happen, of epic proportions that could bring about the Third World War. These people are talking about it lightly. Hillary Clinton, the war wench, talking about what a great time it would be. After she laughs about Libya, she laughs about Egypt. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people suffer. She finds it infinitely funny. She's suggesting we get involved in Syria. No, I suggest we don't. Rand Paul, the one sane person in D.C. right now. All the other legislatures there are too busy snorting coke to care. They don't even realize that under our Constitution, they're supposed to be the ones declaring war. He's the only one even talking about it. People don't even realize all these strikes we conduct around the world, these acts of war, which is what I would assume a drone strike or an airstrike is, it's not even legal under our own laws for us to be doing this. The executive branch does not have the unilateral power to do so. The Congress just rolled over after 9/11, gave the president limitless and ongoing war powers without actual declaration of war involved, and it's been going on ever since. That's why our foreign policy since 9/11 has been such an unfettered disaster. We need to put the genie back in the bottle on so many fronts. There are so many problems we've got in our own country. And you're going to have a lot more problems if we enter an atomic war with the Russians. Yeah, that's how bad it could get. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. These people telling you, oh, don't worry, it could never possibly happen. Bullshit. Utter bullshit. People used to worry about that because they knew it was a reality. They knew it was possible. An accident could have triggered it. Back at the height of the Cold War, an accident could have triggered World War III. It didn't even require direct provocation. People act like this is a fucking game. Like the Russians haven't already semi-modernized some of their weapon systems. Like Trump hasn't come out and said we should modernize ours too. I even support the idea, preferably to keep them from having to ever be used. But this is crazy talk. The Russians are already there in Syria. Assad's a direct ally of the Iranians, one of Russia's main allies. He's got Russian weapon systems. There are Russian troops there. China's in the area. The French have already been flying sorties. So far, they limited it to attacking ISIS after some of the attacks there in France. And the Russians just stepped aside and made sure, you know, okay, well, they're just hitting ISIS, so we don't even care. But now the U.S. government's talking about striking Assad. They're not talking about, oh, we're going to conduct more sorties against ISIS. Nobody cares if you bomb ISIS. We're the ones that helped them proliferate in the first place. Russians don't care if we bomb ISIS. They probably want them gone as much as we do. Another genie that should be put back in the bottle. By the way, they're not going to be the ones that die off in an atomic war. They're already living in the Stone Age in some fucking cave somewhere. Yeah, the life won't change for them. They're going to be eating the same chickpeas, the same goat curry or whatever the hell. They're going to be still sitting in the desert. They're not going to take a nuke. There's nothing there to nuke. They'll still be there. Islamofascism wins the day, I suppose. Russia? Nah, it's charred remains. U.S.? Yeah, largely charred remains. A few people will survive. They'll be hideously mutated and inbred because there'll be no one else to fuck in their region. They have like 3 legs and stuff. Meanwhile, the consanguineous marriage in the Middle East, it won't even matter anymore. Those will be more genetically healthy than anybody living in Europe that's actually manages to survive. You'll have some really, really fucked up rural populations. It will be the main populations of the world after that happens. Outside of maybe New Zealand or something. And that's going to be fucked up too. Yeah, New Zealand world order next. You better get ready to inherit the earth, I suppose, because if people like Clinton have her way, yeah, you probably will. You'll probably become the dominant world power. It's going to be Kiwi power. The whole world will be a giant sheep farm. Is that what you want? A bunch of hobbits running around? Kind of tongue-in-cheek, but think about what Clinton's saying. What Tillerson's saying. These people are nuts. Yeah, they're the ones that get to disappear into a bunker if the little red button is pushed. I suppose they don't care quite as much. It might be part of the problem. We need to immediately draft a bill. All politicians and military brass and so forth, if there's ever a nuclear war, they get tied up in stockades in locations that are likely to take a direct hit. Everyone else gets to go into the bunker. They're the ones that actually sacrifice themselves. Captain should go down with the ship. I think it's a good idea. That's about all. Peace out.